What's up, guys? It's Daz here, but you don't really care as we have fully annotated the Hebra region with treasures and Koroks. So, I'm going to go and get all of those treasures and Koroks, split them in 2 videos, and just go on our merry way. We're going to go from the southernmost point to the northernmost point. Also, I do believe some treasures on the northern part are missing on the annotation because we have over 100 pins. I will clear those out as we go through them in the future, but otherwise, let's begin. First one is just northeast of the southernmost shrine. The treasure can be found along the southern cliff edge. Behind a bummable rock is your treasure chest, containing a silver rupee. Nice. The next one I had marked actually led us to an enemy encampment that we already defeated when we went to the Tabantha treasure, so ignore that one. Whoops. So instead, where we're going to go is over to the far east cliff edge. And this guy is right where the marker is, behind another brommable brock, and inside a chest. Next one is far off to the west again, just south of the Tama Pond. So the treasure here is once again on the mountain, on the southern part of it. I'm going to look more specifically because I got a little lost looking for it. Behind another bummable rock, this seems to be a running theme, and inside a chest. Next one's in the Tabantha village ruins. The 2 treasures here are simply found inside the ruins as part of enemy encampments. So let's go get them. Right, now that we're done with that, we're going a little bit to the west, but east of Tama Pond. Oh, that makes sense. Right, the next one we're going to go for is just northwest of the Tabantha village ruins. This piece of treasure is simply hidden under the snow. Oh, it's a silver rupee. Next up, we're going over to the skull cave just above the Hebra plunge. Hebra plunge. Not in big text Hebra plunge, but the small text. A level up. I don't know why the map did that, but okay. Interestingly, this skull cave is actually locked off, and it just has a bunch of frost pebblets, which is kind of cool. Either way, I'm still going to murder them all and take their treasure. The next treasure is going to take us just by the waterfall of the Hebra plunge. Now this guy is actually behind the waterfall, behind a bummable rock, in a chest. The next treasure is just going to be a little bit north of that, on the shore, north of the waterfall. Ooh, a kite shield. New, but apparently really good at snowboarding, sledge shielding, shield surfing. That was terrible. Next treasure is going to go far off to the east, on the peak between the shrine and the tower. The treasure can be found just beneath the massive flag by this peak. So now that we've made it this far north, I've been able to get rid of the pins we've gotten to so far, and now create a whole bunch of new treasure ones along the whole northern part. So the first one we're going to is to the southwest corner of the Hebra region, on that green pin we just saw. It's simply buried under the snow. The next one is just a little bit northeast of there, again, buried under the snow. Now that those 2 are done, the next one we're going to is by the Hebra Trailhead. Next up, we're going east of the Trailhead Lodge onto this cliff here. Once again, this guy can be found underneath underneath the snow. Next one we're going for is this pin up north, because I want to take a more wider route as we go along the thing from left to right. So these next two treasures actually are really close by. One of them is hidden in an ice block and the other from an enemy encampment. Next one we're going to is at the very peak of the Koroks Peak. This treasure can be found within an ice block here. The next treasure is to the northeast, once again behind an enemy encampment. I have to try that again. Next one we're going to is southeast of there, down the mountain. This treasure is behind a bubbable rock in a treasure chest from there. Next one we're going for is north, again on the sort of eastern edge of the Koroks Peak. And this guy is once again within an ice block. Next one is going to be down the cliff at the bottom between the Hebra Headspring and the Koroks Peak. And it's part of an enemy encampment, but I could just sneak on through. Kind of. Next one I think we'll go for is the one on the Hebra Spring, right by the waterfall. The treasure can be found at the bottom of the waterfall. Use magnesis and cryonis. Right, up next we're going to the Skull Cave, just a little bit east of the Hebra Headspring. What do you know, the Skull Cave treasure has an enemy encampment in it. Next treasure is on the eastern part of the Kapiki Drifts. The treasure can be found underneath the flagpole guarded by a bunch of frost pebblets. The treasure can be found at the bottom of the mountain, even though there is a flag there, it's actually at the bottom of the cliff, behind a bumble rock, in a treasure chest. Next treasure we're going for is at the South Tabantha snowfield, on this patch of trees here. The next treasure is just underneath the snow. Next up we're going right by the stables to get the next two treasures. So now I've got a bit of a conundrum. There are two treasure chests by the stables. I haven't opened either of them, and I've done everything I can, I just can't find them. They're not buried under the snow, I've given meat to the dogs. Nothing has led me to this treasure, so I'm a little lost. If you know where it is, feel free to tell me, and I'll probably pick it up in a bonus episode of finding all the treasure I missed. That'll be right towards the end of the series, and that's not too far away anyway, so where you were. So next we're going to do another loop from west to east, just a little bit north compared to last time. Let's go! The treasure is found to the very west, just underneath this flag here. Very nice and simple. Next we're going to go northeast in between the two peaks, because that's where the next treasure chest is. Here's the treasure, there's a little peak in between the two peaks, it's in the snow here. Now we're done with that, we're going to go southeast down to the southeast edge of the mountain. The treasure is a bit of a tricky one. It's behind a bombable rock, but for some reason, because it's on this cliff, the chest is actually going to fall down, which is why the first time I did this, I thought it just led to nothing, because the chest just sort of disappeared from my view. And I didn't have the sound in my ears to tell me that it was the sound of a treasure chest bumping into stuff. Gosh, this took forever. Alright, that took like half an hour, I think, maybe 20 minutes. Anyway, next one we're going to is the Skull Cave just north of the shrine down here. And this guy is part of an enemy encampment, but since it's one of these types, I can just fly on through and grab it myself. Now that that's done, we're going to go to the Hebra South Summit. Next treasure chest we're going to is east of the Toronto Peak and a little bit north on this little balcony here. It is underneath the snow. This treasure chest is simply behind a bumpable rock on the western edge of this cliff, and that's pretty much it. At this point, we're going to do another loop from the west, so we're going to go back to those two peaks. This next treasure chest is a little bit off on my marker, but we actually want to be on the eastern side of this ridge, because down there is the bombable rock, which behind that has the treasure chest. Next up, we're going to go a little bit east and to the south on this ridge here by the Stanida Basin. That's what it was called. This treasure chest is very simply just in the middle of this cliff face underneath the snow. Next up, we're going to the east of the Stanida Basin, just north of the body of water. This guy is part of an encampment. ₹300 is worth it. That took a while. Right, anyway, next up we're going even into the Cold Snap Hollows now, but more on the northwestern part of it, so not entirely. And now this guy is actually on top of the platform behind another ice block. Now that one's over, we're going to the Hebra Peak, right by the shrine. In fact, it's literally outside of it. The treasure, ironically enough, was right underneath our nose. There is a bunch of ice blocks blocking the way to this shrine, and we just burnt through one to get through, but it turns out the one on the left actually has a proper treasure chest in it. Next up, we're going a little southeast of the Hebra Peak, along that little cliff bit there. This guy is pretty much exactly where the marker is, hidden under the snow. Next up, we're gonna go east even more, to the Pikeda Stone Grove. There are 3 treasure chests to get here, and they're all either on top or below the cliff blobber there. That's all I can describe it as, blobber. Oddly enough, there's a treasure chest in the ice block where I thought the Korok was. I mean, I'm a little off, but I magically found another treasure chest, so I will mark that here. Huh. Right, now that that's over, we're going to go to the other side of the Pikeda Stone Grove. So this guy is underneath a flag on top of the cliffs. Nice and simple. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's on a cliff. No. It's just underneath the flag. As long as you see the flag, you'll be fine. This next treasure is on the eastern ridge of the whole place. Just bomb the wall, get your treasure chest. Right, and the final one is in the really northeastern part of the Stone Grove. What am I doing? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I know I pulled an all-nighter a few nights ago to, actually get the gameplay and collecting all this stuff, but the treasure chest is on top of the cliff, underneath the snow. Right, now that this treasure is done, we're going to go to the east side of the North Tabantha snowfield to go and get the treasures on the mountain to the east. The first treasure chest on the furthest west of the mountain is part of an enemy encampment. Oh man, that was a brutal attack at the end there. Next up we're going further east, a little bit south. And this guy is behind a bumpable rock on the southern ridge of the place. Next treasure is further to the east on the east ridge of everything. And the final treasure on this mountain is, what do you know, actually by the east ridge behind a bombable rock. And a treasure chest. We are now by a skull cave to the very far west. I will get out my map in a minute, right after I defeat these guys. Fighting sure has gotten easier. We are just by the Hebra West summit. Anyway, next we're going to go to the Icefall Foothills. and then we'll come back down here in a moment. The first treasure chest we're looking for is just underneath the snow on the northern part of this ridge. Nice and easy. The second is literally right next to it behind a bombable rock. Next up, we're going to go down south, once again, just a little bit northwest of the Hebra West Summit. Here it is, just along this ridge. It's behind an ice block. Next up, we're going a little bit south. Pretty much just directly up a cliff, really. Here's the view of the shrine for reference. Right down in this almost completely dark area, there is a bombable rock on the northeastern port of this little mountain. Blow it up, get your treasure chest. Next up, we're going just a little bit east of where we are. I think it might actually be just another cliff level up. If not, just the same cliff. Like, face. It was pretty much just up another level, I think. So it's just behind, again, ice blocks. It's a shame the meteor rod doesn't work as well as you'd think. Next up, we're going way down south for these 3 treasure chests we sort of skipped over / didn't mark on our map. Here we are, it's another enemy encampment. Let's do this. Wow, I should have done that earlier. Look at that, I love that angle. Next up, as you can see on the map, we're going to go a little bit south from the Skull Cave. Pretty simple. Now this one's just on the ridge of the mountain. It's behind a bombable rock. Next up, we're going up this cliff. And this is also part of an enemy encampment. These guys still take way too much damage. Next up, we're going way north of the Hebra Great Skeleton. My mark's a little off, but doesn't matter anyway. There is a treasure chest hidden underneath the snow on a tiny little cliff to the north. Next up, we're going southeast of here, just directly east of the Hebra Great Skeleton Shrine. Once again, along the ridge of the whole place, somewhat, there's a bombable rock, and behind that is your treasure chest. Next up, we're going northeast, just a little bit southwest of the trees / encampment down on the map. I ended up taking the encampment first. All I really did as a fun little thing for myself is I just froze all the enemies and then just took it for myself. Quite a fun way to take on the enemies. Anyway, now let's go and take the one to the southwest. And this guy is up on the ridge overlooking the place underneath some snow. Now that those two are done, we're going a whole bunch south, just a little bit west of the Hebra Tundra. And this guy is in the center of these trees, underneath some snow. I'm having too much fun with how I pronounce snow. Next up, we're going quite a bit north and a little bit east to this mound of trees here, in the no-named area. Typical. The treasure chest can be found buried in the snow, just like pretty much everything else here. Next, we're going a little bit south to get this last little bit by the Hebra Tundra. And this guy is on the southern ridge, pretty much where the marker is, again, under the snow. Now that that's over, we're going even more east and a little bit north. This next chest is part of an enemy encampment, just a little bit north of this ridge of this main sort of mountainous area. And now that that's done, we're going to go southeast a little more to the clump of trees on the cliff up above us. This treasure chest is in the center of the trees, underneath some snow. I'm not sure if I'd actually say center of the trees, but it is at least underneath the snow. Next we're going southeast further, along the ridge. Well, you know, it's near a ridge, so it's going to be behind a bumble rock. Next, we're going northeast to the encampment down on the lowest path, to the north part of the mountainous region. This treasure is a skull cave, so what do you know? It's an enemy encampment. And I just realized it was an optional fight. It didn't even have to destroy them all. Oh well. Next, we're gonna go east, just a little bit north of the Paquita Stone Grove. The treasure chest, just a little bit northeast of the shrine, is behind an ice block. Next up, we're going to the northernmost part of the part above the Paquita Stone Grove. I wish more things were labelled, damn it, but oh well, it's fine. So, on the northern ridge of the mountains north of the stone grove that's somewhat unnamed, is another bombable rock. Behind that, your treasure chest. Next, we're going southeast. And this guy is somewhat on the top of the cliff, but leaning to the east, underneath the snow. Next up, we're going southeast further, to the end of this almost peak-looking place. At somewhat of the top of this cliff, it's not quite a peak, but it's something. Underneath the snow is your next treasure chest. Now that those are over, we're going way up north of the easternmost part of the mountain. At the mini peak here is a treasure chest under the snow. Next, we're reaching the treasure chest on the northern part of the mountain east of the North Tabantha snowfield. This treasure chest is part of an enemy encampment, but hey, it's an optional fight anyway, so I'm just going to sneak in and grab it myself anyway. Next up, we're going northeast of the actual mountain, right by the North Labyrinth. The treasure chest is along the ridge, behind a bombable rock. They really love these, don't they? They're all either under the snow, or in a ridge. Right, and that is all the treasures we're collecting this episode, or this video, because the last 5 found here, maybe 6, we actually got when we were doing all the shrines and all in that labyrinth. So if you want to go see those treasure chests, there are the locations, but otherwise, you better watch that shrine video. It's at the end, so if that helps you at all with the navigation. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to end it off here. Next time, we're going to go to another region. We're not quite going to the final Divine Beast yet. We have one more area I want to do because we have the Rito armor. Anyway, for now, my name's been Daz. You didn't really care, and I will see you in a bit.